When our cup is overflowing with water or whatever's in it, there's more than enough for our family. But when our cup is empty, they have nothing to take from the cup.
Hi, and welcome to Don't Drink to Feed podcast. This podcast is all about you and all the courageous, driven women like you. We are here to inspire, to empower, to share, and to embrace one another. We will be talking with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and what it took for them to live the life they love. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, and I am so happy you're here today. Hi, everyone. I am so thrilled to have today Zahra Premji. I hope I didn't destroy your name.
It's perfect.
She's a life and mindful coach who helps busy women create more time and energy for themselves without guilt or feeling overwhelmed. She has a Balanced Mom movement program that coaches mom to find balance in their lives. So welcome, Zahra. So excited to learn more about you.
Thank you, Claudia. I'm so excited to be here.
I am this month of December, which is my birthday month.
Okay.
I am dedicated it to moms because although I wear a lot of hats, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be a mom. I'm a mom who writes books. I'm a mom who coaches. I'm a mom who's a wife. I'm a mom who does a lot of things. But I think what fills my heart more and gives me more joy is being a mom. And because I was a mom for a long time, a single mom for a long time, and I had wore those different hats, I know how hard sometimes can be just to be present, just to not feel guilty because like all these single moms that are listening, they have to go to work. I mean, one of my daughter's friends today dropped the kids on a daycare for the first time. And my daughter was with her and she said to me, she cried. And I almost started to cry because I remember.
The pain of leaving our kids at daycare. Yeah, I felt that deeply. Yeah, I still feel that. I could be teary with you because even though it was so long ago, I still remember the depth of emotion I felt, like leaving my child and getting into my car and just sobbing, like thinking about like how the day just felt like it was gonna like a lifetime. It felt like it was a lifetime, the amount of time I was going to be away from them. So I get
I
that.
think it's also like I had my youngest daughter on a daycare and I was working and I quit my job, even though I have all the qualifications to have a much better paid job. And I started to work in a daycare.
Yeah.
Just so I could see her through a glass.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't deal with the remorse and the pain and the guiltness of leaving my daughter. And I was talking to my daughter's friend and I was saying, at the end of the day, that was my own guilt because she was okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I talk a lot about guilt with my clients. I think it's something that we believe just sort of kind of follows us like our tail when we become mothers. It's just like, oh, the guilt will just come along. And I think to some degree it's going to be there. And I think one of the things that I could really resonate with is I just didn't know how to cope with it. Like I felt like I drowned in guilt so much. And I think that is something that is going to follow us. It's something that is almost like a fact. You're going to feel guilt as a mom because there are times where you'll feel like I haven't done enough, or maybe if we like snap or we lose our temper, it's like, oh, I wasn't kind enough, I wasn't compassionate enough. Like there's just always these thoughts that we have that create this emotion of guilt. And I think one of the things that can be so detrimental when it comes to guilt is when it gets in the way of us being able to take care of ourselves, or where we listen so much to the guilt that we stop listening to that voice inside us that says, maybe you need to rest, or maybe you do need to spend a bit of time pursuing this goal. Maybe there's a different purpose that you have that you also need to pay attention to. So I think that's where guilt can be a little bit dicey, is when we allow it to really consume us and overpower our judgment about what we also need outside of being a mom. And I think that's been my work. It's been a lot of my own kind of emotional work and healing, was to just really understand how guilt was showing up in my life, how it really contributed to me burning out at one point, and how to navigate it moving forward and still be able to show up as an amazing mom and love on my kids and be present and connected to them, and also like take care of myself and my needs, because I also realize that's really important for my children to see too, is I want
And
to be an example for them of
100%.
how you can do both. Yeah.
100%, because I think
Hmm.
that I am a different mom now than what I was when I became a single mom,
Yes.
because I put myself in the back burner. And
Mm.
I didn't understand at that moment in my life that that was the billboard my girls were getting from me, which is
Yeah.
something that we generational inherit.
Hmm.
A good mom,
100%. Yes.
the good mom eat the burnt toast. You're not gonna take the good toast. You're
Yes.
gonna get
Yes.
whatever is left.
100%.
And if there
Yes.
is no bread, then you don't get even a toast. And that's
Yeah.
what we're wired that way. We
Yes.
get those downloads when we're kids, regardless what kind of a mom you have, because
Yes.
society teaches
Yeah.
us that we gotta be at the bottom of the list. So I
Yes.
kind of shift halfway through with my
Yeah.
daughters. And in my journey of healing, I learned that in order for me to be a better mom, I needed to be a better friend to myself. And I started
Yes.
taking care of myself. And the good thing, I
Yes.
think it was that my kids were not too old to
Hmm.
learn that. So
Yes.
they
Yes.
saw that transition as when we were little, mom was like this. And now when
Hmm.
we're growing a little, mom is going to be like that. I
Yeah.
don't think
Yes.
they saw the line in the sand like
No.
mom change 180, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it matters more when they're older, right? Like that's where the generational cycles get broken, is when they're old
Mhm.
enough to really understand the pressures that might come their way from society to sacrifice themselves, put themselves on the back burner, versus like being able to see that, like, oh, my mom was able to like be an amazing mom to me and also take care of herself. In fact, she was an
Mhm.
amazing mom to me because she took care of herself,
Yeah.
because she didn't always put herself at the bottom of the list. Sometimes she was at the top of the list. And I just think that to be able to like model that for our children is the greatest way of breaking the generational cycle that I can think of. I think it's so empowering. It's the greatest gift. And it's what actually keeps me going. It's what actually overpowers my guilt now, is I get to show my children what it's like to choose themselves. Because I always
Yeah.
think of like, as moms, like what we always hear that saying of like, you can't pour from an empty cup. But I
Mhm.
heard this analogy recently that when we are a full cup, like our family drinks from the cup. So when
Mhm.
our cup is overflowing with water or whatever's in it, there's more than enough for our family. But when our cup is empty, they've got nothing. Like they have nothing to take from the cup.
Mhm.
So when I think of that analogy, if you can't pour from an empty cup, I'm also like, my family is literally like metaphorically drinking from my cup. And if I don't have energy, if I don't have compassion, if I don't have love for myself, then I also don't have those things to be able to give in abundance to my family.
Yeah. And you don't have
Yeah.
also the
Hmm.
patience that you
Yes.
need,
Yeah.
because I mean, I don't think you understand until you are a mom.
A hundred
You
percent.
can talk about, and it's funny because I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and her mom abandoned her when she was like 12 years old or something like that. And she and I were talking, and she said, somebody said to me, when you're a mom, when you become a mom, you're going to understand. But now that I am a mom, I understand less.
Mm,
And it's
mm,
true. We all
yeah.
have our own experience as parents,
Mm,
and we we learn as we go. We don't
hmm.
we don't have this manual that tells you can buy all the books in the world, but you don't know
Yes.
which kid is gonna be for you. So you don't
Yes.
know what
Yeah.
lessons that kid is going to teach you. And
Yes.
my kids now are 27, 28, and 31, and I
Wow.
keep learning from them
Yes. They're
every
our
single
greatest
day.
teachers.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
it
And
is
they're also
crazy.
different from each other. So the lessons you learn from each one are so different, right? Like
Mhm.
there's so much, I just feel like my capacity keeps expanding in from for what I'm learning, for the amount of love that I have to give them, the amount of compassion. Like it feels like it's overflowing now because I am just in that space where I'm like open to learning it, versus feeling like I always need to steer the ship. I always need to be the guide. I always need to be the teacher. I'm now giving my kids opportunities to trust themselves, make decisions for themselves, and I'm learning from them. And I
Mhm.
just like, it's such a way to empower our children too, right? To begin to
Yeah.
believe in themselves, because it's like, oh, look, like I'm this much older than you, but I'm still learning these important lessons from you too. I think it's so empowering for them.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
talking to my daughter also that is trying to be a mom, and she
Hmm.
said we were going through different interviews. She works part-time with me. We were going through different interviews. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have soon a mom that has 11 kids.
Yeah.
And she was saying to me, Mom, when you talk to these moms that are
Mm-hmm.
coaches too, ask them how they shift their feminine energy to masculine
Mm-hmm.
energy. Because when you're in control, like when I'm at work, I
Mm-hmm.
am in my masculine energy. But then you have to
Mm-hmm.
go to your feminine energy to be
Yeah.
that kind, nurturing, loving mom. But then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to switch back to the masculine to be the
Yeah.
disciplinary and all these different
Yeah.
roles that we play. So
Yeah.
what did you advise your clients
Mm.
that are looking to create that balance?
Yeah.
What do you tell them how they can switch from the masculine to the feminine energy and still
Yeah.
be the mom, the nurturing,
Yeah.
loving mom that they are supposed to be?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So, one of the things that I really found when I went through my season of burnout, which was in 2022, I realized that I had been like trying so hard to control everything. It's interesting because I was resentful because I felt like I had to do everything, but then I also never wanted to let go of control. I was very much like distorted in my masculine energy, right? Like it's like you don't help me with anything, but then when you help me with things, it's just not done the
You're
way I
not
wanted
doing
to.
it
So
how
I
I
have to,
want you
yes,
to do it.
yeah. So it makes so much sense that my partner didn't want to do more because I always had a comment or I was fixing things. So I was really distorted towards my masculine. And it was interesting when I was kind of experiencing my season of burnout, which was it really took me out. Like I took a leave from work. And I think I spent about 3 months basically just sleeping and crying, like on my sofa. I was so tapped out. And it was the first time that I was really confronting a lot of emotions that I had pushed down for so long because I was so in my masculine. And I one day said to my husband, I said, you will not recognize this version of me, but I am so ready to receive your help. Like, I really just, like, it makes me a bit emotional thinking about it because it said to him, you probably don't even recognize this
Mhm.
version of me, but I need to step back now and I need to just like receive and accept the help that you can give me. And it was like the first time I was almost like forced into my feminine because I think when I think about femininity, like, or feminine energy, I think about like the wisdom, I think about the compassion, I think about the
Mhm.
nurturing, but I also think about the receiving help, the receiving love, like just being able to allow to be taken care of, if I'm phrasing that right. And then when I was in that feminine energy and I realized how that really allowed my husband to take more control and what that did for him and the space that it created for us to just be more vulnerable with each other because it was the first time that I had like ever really kind of allowed myself to not be in control and say, here you go. Like I'm handing the reins over to you, which I think he had wanted for probably longer than I'd like to admit. But for me, that was an important shift. And when I realized the capacity that it was giving me, not just in terms of my time and my energy, but in terms of my capacity to feel love and compassion for myself and then have more to give to others, I realized that this is something that my clients also need to learn. So, and will also benefit from experiencing. So that is a really powerful shift that we work on in coaching is really identifying what are some of the beliefs and the thoughts that we have that get in the way of us asking for help, allowing others to help, receiving help when it's offered to us, having compassion for ourselves. Like what are the things that are getting in the way? And we spend a lot of time really working through those because oftentimes it's very deeply rooted beliefs that we've had, very deeply rooted stories that we haven't
Mhm.
really even questioned. But when they can make that shift and see their partner as like this
The
individual
partner.
wants to help me. Yeah, we are
Like the
partners.
partner.
Yes.
That's the title of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
person. So that means they
yeah.
are
When we
your
can
partner.
actually work together
Yeah.
and as a partnership, then they start to realize like their capacity expands, their bandwidth expands, they're feeling less resentful and angry and exhausted at the end of the day and can nurture their children and their partners in such a different way. So it really is an important part of my program and the work that I do with my clients. For some, it takes a little bit longer than others, right? Like depending on how we've grown up and our conditioning and the stories we're telling ourselves. And then with others, it's almost like, yeah, I've really wanted this for a long time. I just couldn't figure out how to make this shift. So
Don't
work,
even know that they
yeah,
have to make that shift. I think that we are
yes,
wired to think that
hmm,
vulnerability means
yeah,
you cannot be weak.
yeah,
It's
yes,
like
yeah,
you gotta be strong or you can be vulnerable, but you cannot be
hmm,
both.
yes,
And
yeah,
for me in my journey, I had to learn that
Mhm.
part of my strength was
Mhm.
being vulnerable.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
And
I think that is
that's
one of the most courageous things we can do,
Mhm.
because when you're vulnerable, you are kind of like putting your emotional safety in the hands of somebody else, not knowing how it's going to turn out, right? Like we don't have that certainty of how it'll be received. So
Right.
I actually think that I'm with you on that one. I think being vulnerable is actually the most courageous and requires more strength. And
And requires for you to trust also the other
a
person,
hundred
which is
percent.
another
Yeah.
challenge that we have, right? As
Yes.
women. I mean,
Yes.
should I trust this person? Is this
Yeah.
person capable to provide that emotional support that I need? Can I
Hmm.
let go so they can
Yeah.
be part of it? And even
Yes.
if you don't have a partner, even if
Mhm.
you just have a community or you have a tribe,
Yeah. Yeah.
trusting that tribe to step up when you're
Mhm.
exhausted, when you need
Yes.
5 minutes in the bathtub just to
Yeah.
unwind and to be alone,
Yeah.
or to
Yeah.
just sit in the car when you get home and sit in the car for 5 more minutes with no
Yeah.
radio and nothing, just to sit there and be with yourself. We don't
Yes.
allow those moments because
No,
we think
no.
that the minute that we do that, we're being selfish.
Yes. Or being unproductive or
Right.
being lazy, right? It's like I could be using this time to do something else. It's just this constant like story that's happening in our minds. And to your point, when you talk about the vulnerability and like whether it's with community or with partnership, I think one of the challenges around that is what we make it mean about ourselves if we are vulnerable or if we trust somebody else. Like, what are we making it mean? Is it that we're not strong enough, we're not capable enough, we're
Yeah.
not productive enough? Like there's like this really deeply rooted story about like sometimes making it mean that we're like a failure. Like if we need to rely on somebody else, there must be something wrong with me. And I think
Right. You
it's
cannot do it
really,
yourself.
yeah, and I think it's really just being willing to unlearn that story and take on a new one and seeing what's possible there. And if you don't like that, you can always go back to your old stories, but scratch the itch a little.
I
You.
always tell my
Mhm.
clients, let's get curious.
Yes,
How would your
yes,
life be if you take these steps?
yes,
Let's
yes.
imagine how much better or how much different would be, and
Hmm.
embrace that. Let's embrace
Hmm.
that for a week. Let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. If you don't
And
like it, you can always go back.
yes, I think that's actually one of the most sacred parts of coaching, right? Is like being able to have the space to get curious, to
Hmm.
explore, to
Hmm.
tap into your creativity and your imagination. Because outside of that space, so many of us are operating on autopilot, right? Like we're just like going through the motions, we're filling our day, we're overscheduled, we're overdoing, we're overgiving. And we don't often have that space to just really start to think about what would be possible for me if I tried this or if I did that. And so I think like that's one of the most beautiful gifts of coaching is literally like you have carved out an hour for yourself where you just get to know yourself really deeply and also start to see the possibility in your life. And I think as coaches, we hold that belief for our clients until
Hmm.
they start to believe in it themselves. But I just, to your point about curiosity, I just think it's the most beautiful thing we can do for ourselves and just such a powerful approach to solving problems and making our lives better and moving in the direction that we want to move in and creating the relationships that we want to create as if we were to just approach with curiosity and compassion
Yeah.
versus
Even
judgment, right?
even in conversation, and you nailed it right now. And I was gonna say
Yeah.
that because even when you ask somebody and you put that word curious before,
Hmm.
it's not a
Hmm.
judgment anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious, how come you
Hmm.
say that? I'm
Hmm.
curious, how come you went and see this person? Or I'm curious, how
Yeah.
come you put your kid in timeout? Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious is not a
Yeah.
confrontational way to
Yes.
ask. So the
Yeah.
person is going to receive it as she's curious. She's not judging me. She's really
Yeah.
curious. So
Yeah.
I think
So true.
curiosity is a tool that comes handy a lot when you're a mom.
Mhm. Yes. And I think because what accompanies the guilt so closely is like the self judgment, right? So
Mhm.
if we've had a moment where maybe we lost our temper or we responded a certain way with our children, and then we're immediately feeling the guilt and probably some shame about it, we often immediately go into this self judgment, right? Like, oh, I'm such a bad mom, or I promised myself I wasn't going to yell today and I yelled again and I'm so terrible and I can't improve this thing. I can't make it better no matter how hard I try. And when we're in that judgment, we're not able to access our problem solving, our creativity, our wisdom, planning, that part of our brain.
The root of the problem. What triggered
Right.
me
Yeah,
to
exactly. And so that's one of the things that I often like will say to my clients, like, okay, so if you had that moment, you have the option to like mentally beat yourself up if that's what you choose. But I just want to offer you that it's not getting you any closer to the result you want to create. Versus if you were to just say to yourself, like, okay, it makes sense that I did that because I was having a day, or maybe I was distracted, or maybe I was feeling stressed. And also, like, I wonder why I chose that reaction. I wonder what happened to cause
Right.
me to maybe react that way. And it's such a different approach because when you ask your brain that question, your brain wants you to answer it. So
Hmm.
it's not like, how could I be such a bad mom? That's not really a helpful question. But if you're like, I wonder why I yelled in that moment, and then you can just start to answer your questions and figure out, okay, like maybe these are some things I need to tweak. Maybe I just need a little bit more time. Maybe I need the 5 minutes in the car before I come in because I noticed that I just need to calm my nervous system down. But I think that curiosity is just one of the most powerful tools that we can use as coaches, but also as humans with ourselves, right? So
100%.
yeah,
You mainly work with women that
yeah,
feel overwhelmed and guilty and all those emotions, but they are also professionals. They're not
yes.
stay home mom. So when somebody one time said to me, you can have it all, not just at the same time. Do you believe that?
I don't believe that I do. I think it depends. Well, first of all, I just want to clarify. I do have some moms that are stay-at-home moms that have
Okay.
also, yeah. And
Hmm.
because they were also they look at their jobs as stay-at-home moms as jobs, and they
Hmm.
have a lot on their plates. And so they were like a couple of the moms that I've worked with were also just feeling like, how do I do this? Like, how do I even manage what's on my plate and not feel overwhelmed and not feel like I'm losing my temper all the time? And how do I reconnect with my partner? But to your question about can you have it all, I think we have to really define what that means for us. I think when people talk about having it all, everybody probably has a different definition of what all is. And I think that I think this is a very general statement, but I think as women, we haven't been taught how to want, how to really tap into desire, and to know
Hmm.
like if success was guaranteed, if nobody had an opinion, if failure was not an option, what would I see myself doing? What would I see myself having? And I think that's a really important thing for us to really tap into because so many of us probably look at social media. We're in a lot of compare and despair. We're a product of our conditioning. And so when we think about having it all, maybe it is, we think what we think all
What
means
that
what others
person
think. Yeah,
person is
yes,
all,
yes.
right?
But I
But
don't
it's
know,
not
to me,
necessarily what is all.
yeah. And for me, if I were to define what all is I want to have a really loving and connected partnership with my husband. I
Hmm.
want to have quality time with my children as often as possible in the way that works for us, knowing that it can look different each day. I
Hmm.
want to have like real purpose and meaning in my work. I want to be able to serve and provide value and help leave individuals better after I've left them. Like, so, like, to me, like, that's what all is. And of
Right.
course, I want to have a roof over our heads and like be able to afford food. But I don't know that I need much more than that. Like I want to have connected friendships, but to me that's what all looks like, and I just think that's absolutely available if I am clear on my priorities, if I
Hmm.
plan my time accordingly, if I learn how to say no to things that don't align with my values.
That one is a big
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah,
we
if
are
I
also wired to say yes.
yes, because we don't want to disappoint other people. But the
Hmm.
cost of not disappointing others is we often disappoint
Disappoint
ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah.
And I think when we can get just really comfortable with the discomfort of sometimes letting like other people being disappointed, and if we're just keep continuing to check in with ourselves, like what are my priorities in this season of life? Because they can change. And I just know that what I'm saying yes to aligns with that. And I'm
Hmm.
willing to say no to the other things. Then, yes, I do absolutely believe we have capacity and space to have it all, whatever that looks like for us. And it'll
Yeah.
not always be in equal distributions. And I think that's people have this sort of like belief about what balance looks like. And it's like I have equal parts work and then family, and then friendship, and then health, or whatever else it is. And to me, I just think like we're humans, we're interacting with humans. We have things that
Mm-hmm.
come up in our day. So our distribution of where we're spending our time and energy will probably look different from day to day and very different depending on the season that we're in. And
Yeah.
if we can just be okay with that, let go of our like inner perfectionists and not need everything to be just so, and just are looking at everything as like, okay, like I've got this, I can handle this, whatever's coming my way, I know that I'm capable, I know I have the capacity. I just think that we can absolutely have it all.
Yeah.
What
And,
do you think about that? Yeah.
Hi, friends. I have a small favor to ask, and I'm so sorry for the interruption, but this is really, really important to me. As many of you know, Brighter Days was truly a labor of love. I wrote it for every woman who has ever questioned her worth, felt stuck, lost her direction, or needed a reminder of the strength that already lived within her. I am incredibly honored to share that I am a finalist for Author of the Year 2026. If my book, my podcast, my coaching, or anything I have shared has touched your life in any way, I would be so grateful if you vote for me. The voting link is in the description of this show. Every vote matters, and every vote helps me continue spreading this message of hope, healing, and empowerment to more women around the world. Thank you so much for being part of this journey and for believing in me. Your support means more than you know. Now, let's continue helping women remember that they never have to shrink to fit again. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the show.
It's two things. I mean, first of all, I think that the perfectionist comes from
Hmm.
what we think we should,
Yes,
not so
always.
much what we believe, it's what we think we
Hmm.
should, right?
Hmm.
And that oftentimes hold us back, oftentimes
Hmm.
bring more stress than we need in our life because we think we
Hmm.
have to deliver something that many times we don't even believe in. But talking about the other thing that I ask you, if you can have it all, you can have it, but
Hmm.
not all at the same time. I think there is a misconception about that. It's
Hmm.
not so much that you can have it all, it's that you cannot do it all.
Yes, very
You know,
different.
like
Yes.
if, for example, my daughter was talking to me the other day about a job that they offered to her husband, which
Hmm.
would force him to be traveling a lot. And that
Hmm.
was very appealing, and the money was great and everything else. And she said to him, you can have everything you want in your life, but you cannot have it all at the same
Hmm.
time. And it
Hmm.
got me to think because they have everything they need to be happy. What they
Hmm.
cannot do right now is for him to start traveling when she's trying to get pregnant. So it's not,
Hmm.
you cannot do it all
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
It's,
Yes.
you want to have a family, then that thing that you wanted to do that demands from you to be traveling is not going to
Hmm.
be available for you right now
Yes.
because your
Yes.
presence is required to make the
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
So
That's
you
usually
have to
how it
stay,
works.
but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that this is not going to be part of your life at some other time where your schedules and your life and your priorities are different.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that's the misconception, that it's not that you cannot have it all, is you cannot do it all at the same
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
if you are honest with yourself and you say, you know what, I want, this is the list of things that I want to do. And I do that with my clients. Okay, let's talk about
Hmm.
10 things. Okay, let's
Hmm.
put a
Hmm.
number next to all those things
Yes.
and
Yes.
let's see which of those things are a priority. Doesn't mean you're not going to do the other seven.
Yeah.
It means that you're not going to
Yeah.
do it right now because right now you
Yeah.
have these three priorities.
Yes.
So in these two priorities is going to be your all.
Yes.
In
We're
it
so
all.
aligned on this. I love this because this is something that I want. One thing that I do with my clients is I've started doing these weekly purposeful planning sessions. So every Sunday morning, my existing clients can come and join for like a virtual call where
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of take them through the process of planning their week. And it's one of the first things I have them do. Well, first thing, they're evaluating their past week, right? Like getting curious, like what worked, what didn't work, what do I want to
Right.
see looking different? But then it's like, what are your key priorities? And that is something that so many of them struggle with because I think, to your point, this belief that we're supposed to be able to do it all, there's a lot of discomfort with choosing. It's like, well,
Right.
if I say that my family and my health and my job are my priorities right now, what about like all of the other expectations that other
Right.
people have of me, right? What about my friends? What about this? And what I say to them is, it doesn't mean that everything has to be wiped off the list. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that when you are looking at the week ahead, you want to make sure that you have intentional time created for those things so that if you end the week and you're like, okay, well, I know I had time for these things, I can feel really good and accomplished and really proud of what I did that week and not have regret and guilt. And then
Right.
also, like, you can fit in other things. And like you talked about with your daughter, like, we're in different seasons. So if they're in this season of trying to like grow their family, then absolutely the traveling might not be
It's not gonna fit in there.
accessible. Having said that, maybe in a couple of years,
Mhm.
that could change. And I think it's just that willingness to be able to flow with the different seasons of our lives and just really kind of like manage our own thoughts and our minds around it, I think is just so important.
I believe that the secret of happiness is adapting.
Mm.
You don't
Mhm.
have to settle, you don't have to always compromise, but adapt
Mhm.
yourself to what
Yeah.
is in this moment. Because
Yes.
really, I mean, what we resist persists. So if we're gonna
Yes.
put all our energy in trying to do something that is not flowing, that
Mhm.
is not happening, and we
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
adapt ourselves and be present and
Yeah.
enjoy the moment
Yeah.
as it is, then
Yes.
we're gonna have a happy life. We're
Yeah.
not
It's
gonna
a
be fighting
choice.
with with the
Yeah. Yeah.
universe. I said this
Yeah.
all the time. Your thoughts are like the clothes that you pick every day. You
Mhm.
pick to wear jeans or a dress or put your hair up or
Yeah.
put makeup or no makeup the same way you can choose your thoughts. And you can say,
Mhm.
today's gonna be a great day, and today I'm gonna be happy, and today I'm not gonna get stressed in traffic, and today I'm gonna
Mhm.
listen to a book. So if I get
Mhm.
stressed, if I get traffic, I am doing something that I'm enjoying
Yes.
and I'm not
Yeah.
focusing on the traffic. So
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
have those choices every single day, and learning
Mhm.
to pick and choose of this
Mhm.
buffet of thoughts that we have
Yes.
every day is
Yeah.
truly the secret of happiness.
One thing that you were just saying really kind of struck me because I think what you're also doing in that moment is you're thinking ahead to your future self. So
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking ahead to like, and it goes back to like what we were talking about being on autopilot when we're like always sort of in survival mode and just winging it. We really don't have we don't take the pause to really think ahead to like, how do I want to feel when I'm sitting in traffic? How do I want to feel when I'm coming home at the end of my workday? And
Mm-hmm.
what you pointed out there is just like it's creating intention, right? It's like if I know that I'm going to hit traffic, I don't want to feel stressed. I don't want to be road raging and swearing at everybody on the road and
Right.
feeling like my own sense of panic increasing. So what can I, if I want to feel calm or if I want to feel peaceful, what thoughts can I choose to feel that way? And then what actions
Right.
can I choose? So I just think like that was an amazing example of how like we think ahead a little bit. Not that we want to live in the future, we want to be present, but we also want to just have a little bit of a line of sight to like, how do I want to feel at the end of my day? How do I want to feel at the end of my week? I just was talking a little bit about December and how it's so important for us to think about like, what do we want the holidays to look like? What do we want that
Right.
to feel like? I don't want my clients or other moms to feel drained and exhausted and feel like they're snapping at their kids or feeling like they're missing out on opportunities. So, like, if you know that and if you don't want that for yourself, what do you need to choose now to set yourself up to enjoy that holiday season with your family so that you can not just be the holiday magic maker, but you get to also enjoy the holiday magic alongside your family. And I think when
Yes.
we think ahead a little bit and just plan and prioritize, it just makes such a difference to how we move through life and how we interact with our people.
I teach abundance and manifestation, and the
Mm-hmm.
key for manifesting is
Mm-hmm.
being, not wanting. You don't
Yes.
get what you want, you get what you are. So if you are in that
Mm-hmm.
space
Mm-hmm.
of manifesting what
Mm-hmm.
your day is going to look like, being
Yeah.
open to attract instead of
Mm-hmm.
chasing that result, then
Mm-hmm.
things are going to start happening for you because
Yeah.
that's where you are putting out there.
Right.
Today's going to be a
Yeah.
great day. And
Yeah.
today I'm going to be happy. And today I'm going to have a successful day. And today I'm going to meet
Mm-hmm.
amazing people. And today is going to be such an powerful day for me. And you
Mm-hmm.
start feeling at that, those empty spaces in your brain that are available to have the stress and the frustration and the anger and the limiting beliefs with positive things that can help you and empower you to have a better day, one day at a
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
One day, we
Yes.
don't have tomorrow, we have today, we have
Yeah.
right now.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
start doing that, then we learn to manifest the life that we want. And in the long run,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have just one day. Suddenly it's like, I had an amazing month and I had an
Yes.
amazing year and I've been happy the
Yeah.
last 3 years. And oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I never thought my life was going to
Look at
be like
that. My
that.
whole life feels happy.
Go
Yeah.
figure.
Yeah.
You said in your bio, I was reading, you said that you help your clients rewrite their story. Now, I got curious about that because as coaches, therapists go back in time, right? What do you feel when you were little? Why that triggers you, and what do you have
Yeah.
PTSD, and what is this trauma coming from, and all that stuff. We don't
hmm
do that. We take the client from where
Yeah.
they are, and then we help them thrive, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do you go back to rewrite a story?
So we don't, the approach I take is not going, we don't go like, sometimes things from the past will come up, but what I notice happens is a lot of my clients have associated themselves with certain identities. Like they'll
Mm-hmm.
say things like, oh, I'm just not the kind of person that talks about my feelings, or I'm just not the kind of person who really kind of plans my day. I'm not the kind of person who can just let those things go. And I think those are some of the stories that we've brought with us from the past. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I heard recently was to let your vision be bigger than your past, because we
Mm-hmm.
know that we bring some of our experiences and our stories with us. And
Mm-hmm.
that current, like she used the analogy of a cruise ship, like the current is always going to want to pull you back, but we have to keep our eyes on the horizon and where we want to go. And so a lot of it is really just looking at kind of what are some of the identities and things that my clients bring with them that they believe are kind of like tied to them for life. And I just really kind of help them see that if that's not serving you anymore, you get to let that go. You get to
Right.
adopt a new version of yourself. You get to tell yourself a different story. Just because you haven't accomplished something till now, that doesn't mean you'll never accomplish it. So it's really just allowing their imagination to run wild and for them to really kind of step into the possibility and belief of who they want to be. So if they've had a strained marriage, because they don't really communicate that well, I'm really just simply trying to show them like you can change that. That can change. It's not something that you're tied to for life. So that's kind of what I mean about rewriting the story. It's we don't spend a lot of time delving into the past unless it's something that is really kind of informing why they
Mm-hmm.
might have certain patterns of thinking or patterns of behavior, but we don't spend a ton of time there. But it's really looking ahead to like, who do I want to be? How do I become that? What needs to happen?
It's so crazy to me sometimes how we overwhelm ourselves
Mm.
with things that really are so little. And
Mm.
until we don't grab a pen and a paper and we start writing down things, I am a
Yeah,
pen and paper kind of girl. I mean, even my
same.
to-do list every day, my husband's all the time says to me, but just put it in your calendar. It is in my calendar, but I need a paper so I can go check, 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 check. I had a
It's
good day.
so rewarding, right?
I had a good day.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, we do it too. I'm sure you do it too. But my clients do it all the time, and they're like, "I can't be a person." Or if I don't complete my list, I feel that I could do more. If I don't, and
Mm-hmm.
they focus on everything that is not going for
Mm-hmm.
them. So when you have these overwhelmed moms, aside of the guilt and all that stuff, how the organization part of the
Mm-hmm.
day plays
Mm-hmm.
in them changing their routines.
I think that's a really good question. I think it really does start with, first of all, really unpacking the belief that they can do it all. Like, I think it's really like with one of my clients, we went through her to-do list one day and I said, okay, I want you to estimate the amount of time it would take to get through like all of the things that are on your list. We
Mm-hmm.
calculated 17 hours and she believed she was supposed to get those things done in one day. So I said,
No
if
way.
there's no way, like between like sleep and eat and humaning and going to the bathroom and showering and parenting, like you don't have 17 hours to be able to do these things. So I think it's starting there and really looking at like, why is the to-do list, why is it a barrier for them? Like I think to-do lists are meant to be used as a tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
something because our brains are not meant to store information. So it's so important to get it out of our brains and onto paper. But I think that the part that often is the step that often is missing is the processing of the to-do list. So we have everything that's written down, and then the goal often is like, let me just get through it all. But the step that I think is missing for so many of my clients is like, wait a second, like what are my actual priorities this week? And what
Right.
are the most important things on that list that I want to move into my calendar to try and get done this day or this week? And so I think it really becomes about like getting really clear about what are my priorities? What are the things that need to be done by me, but then also where can I simplify and delegate and delete. Because oftentimes we're putting things on our list, but not really thinking about like, do these align with my values? Do these align with my priorities? Am I
Mm-hmm.
doing them because I've always done them? Am I doing them because I believe somebody else expects me to do them? So I think it's really just kind of that awareness that we just don't have the capacity to do all the things that we often think we have the capacity to do. And then once we create that awareness, it's now starting to be really discerning and thinking about like, where do I want to give my time and energy and attention? And then we move those into the week. So I have them plan their weeks, make sure that there's time in there for themselves, right? Like even if it's
Right.
20 minutes to have a cup of
Yeah.
tea or a 15-minute walk or coffee with a friend, like we make sure that that is in there. I also invite them to schedule like breaks and buffer time because we know as moms, there are always going to be things that are happening that are unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
interruptions, unplanned. So I always want to invite them to do that just to account for any overruns. And then we move in, we put the priorities in, right? Like what are the 3 things you decided were the most important for you this week? Schedule those in. And then you can
Right.
look at your to-do list and decide like, are there other things on here that are time sensitive or that really need to get done this week? Can I hand them off to somebody else?
Yeah.
I
It's
think
not
it's
that
just
they
how can
cannot
we
do
simplify?
everything.
Yeah.
It's not that they cannot do everything they have in the list. It's that you cannot do it in one day. You
Yes.
can do it, but not
Yes.
in one day. So give
Yes.
yourself a break. And sometimes
Yes.
that's the hardest thing when we
Yes.
have to give ourselves a break. I wanted to
Yes.
ask you, what have
Mm-hmm.
you learned about yourself in this
Mm.
couple of years working with so many other women? Because we think that we're in an island and nobody has our
Yeah.
problems, right?
Yes.
Nobody's
Yes.
feeling like I'm feeling. Nobody knows why I feel this
Yeah.
way. But then we realize there is a sea of
Yeah.
people, that
Yeah.
actually are going through the same things.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what have you learned about you in these 2
Okay.
years?
I'm going to think about this for a second. One of the most important things that I have learned is that being in a victim like or disempowered space is a real barrier to me being able to feel peaceful and accomplished and happy. So I am constantly on the lookout, even when there are situations that are frustrating or where I feel angry or whatever is happening. I'm always looking for what part can I play in this or what part did I play in this? What can I do to move myself forward? So I think like just not spending a ton of time in my negative emotions. Sometimes I do need to just sit there and I do, but knowing that I have the tools to be able to move through them has been
Mhm.
really, really powerful for me. And I think it's been something that really allows me to help guide my clients through their journeys. I think the other thing is like, I think just as an entrepreneur, some of the challenges and obstacles and emotions that have surfaced
Mhm.
since, becoming a coach and stepping into this entrepreneurship have just been really great growth opportunities where I am having to challenge myself a lot on my own stories that I've told myself and really expanding my capacity and my capability to overcome a lot of obstacles. And I think to also reinforce what we talked about earlier and shifting from masculine to feminine, I think just I'm becoming even more skilled and proficient at asking for help without feeling guilt or shame, at receiving help when it's offered to me, and just receiving love from other people because it's not just about me doing for others and feeling good about it. I also want to give others the opportunity to help and support and love on me because I want them to also experience that joy. So I think I could probably go on. There's so many. This is such a
But
good
it's
question.
great. It's
Yeah.
great because I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes I'm talking to a client and I was like, I think, inside my
Mhm.
head, I was you,
Yes,
I
yes,
was
yes,
you. So I
yeah,
know how to get you out of there. I can give
yeah.
you the strategy because I didn't have anybody to walk me through this. I figured
Mm-hmm.
out myself. Now I
Mm-hmm.
can help you because
Yes.
you are me 10 years ago or 15 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And that
Yes.
is amazing because that's an aha moment for myself. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I really
Mm-hmm.
came a long way. I really
Yeah.
learned my lessons. I'm like
Yeah.
the pat in the back, which is so important when we were talking earlier, those limiting beliefs that make us talk to ourselves in negative
Mm-hmm.
ways, that the
Mm-hmm.
curiosity that we have with other people should be present with us. We should
Yes.
be curious about why we feel a certain way and talk to
Mhm.
ourselves the way we would talk to our best friend.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
why did you do that? but not
Yeah.
like, why did you do that?
Yes,
More
yes,
like,
yeah,
why did you
yeah,
do that? Let's get curious.
yeah,
Let's get to
yeah.
know each other better so we can serve better.
Think that's such an important point because I think that is another thing that has shifted for me as I have become really skilled at holding space for my clients and being non-judgmental and meeting them with so much compassion and curiosity. The constant discussions we have about this and reminders to like love ourselves and see ourselves as worthy has changed how I speak to myself. Like I was already on that path. I was learning about the importance of speaking more kindly to myself, but I think being able to do that so frequently and so proficiently with my clients has also just enhanced my ability to do that for myself. So I do find like I rarely am in bed now going to bed and like beating myself up for not having responded to a text message or not having maybe cleaned the sink or not having called my mom on a certain day. Like I don't really kind of spend a ton of time judging and beating myself up. It's always like, okay, maybe I just need to write this down and handle it tomorrow, which I think
Give yourself
has
grace. Give
yeah,
yourself a
yeah,
little
I'm
grace.
better
Yeah.
at doing that for myself as a result of coaching my clients. So that's a good point.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sarah, for being
Oh,
here. This
thank
has been
you.
so cool. I love it. I hope that all the moms that are listening can find some answers in this conversation. And if not, I have all your information so they
Thank
can reach
you.
out to you, so they can ask you questions. And I think it's so important for all the moms to know that they have resources, that we all been there. We all were in the panic mode. We all were in the stress mode. We all were in the guilt mode. We all been there. And
Yeah.
the secret is not giving up on the situation and not giving up on ourselves.
Yeah. And I think one really quick thing I just want to add is one of the beliefs that I think so many of us moms really like, it would be so beneficial for us to adopt this is to really, really, really sink into the belief that when we do take care of ourselves, when we do prioritize our rest, our health, our joy, and our fun, the way that our families and friends and communities benefit from it is like hundreds of times greater than when we are living in self-sacrifice and really kind of burning ourselves out and draining our own tanks. I just the difference in how we show up for the people around us when we are feeling rested and purposeful is just so much greater. So I just wanted to add that piece in there. Thank you so much.
I agree with
Yeah,
you
yeah,
100%. I
yeah.
actually did a post today that the one by the time this comes out is going to be probably 2 weeks ago, but it was an analogy that I read about this person that bumped into somebody that was holding a cup of coffee, and the question was, the coffee spilled, why the coffee spilled? And the answer of one of the people that were listening to this lecture was, because there was coffee in the cup. And I said, no, she said, because somebody bumped into me. And the other person was giving the lecture said, no, it's because it was coffee in your cup. If you would have
Yeah.
tea, then the tea would spill. If you would have a Coke, then the Coke would spill. So when
Right.
we face those moments in our life, when life kind of bump into us and we lose
Yes.
the balance a little bit, what is
Yeah.
going to spill? What is going to come from us is what we are nurturing inside of us. And it could be gratitude, joy, abundance, or it could be anger, despair, guilt. So it's so
Yeah.
important to be in the moment and realize, what are we feeding ourselves with? What do we have in our cup? And give us ourselves grace. Every day is not going to be a perfect day, but that's part of the
I love
journey.
that. Yeah, I love that analogy. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Well,
good.
I appreciate you being in the show. I thank you so much. And as I said, I'm going to have all your information. Do you have
Sure.
anything that you would like to add?
No, just that last piece I was like, I just want to make sure I say this, that like, I think if people are looking for a reason to be able to start prioritizing themselves and invest in themselves in whatever way that looks, because so much of us, like you talked about at the very beginning, about our identities as mom, and no matter what we're doing, where we're working, it's always going to be a part of us. And I just think like we get to choose what that looks like for us and what it looks like for our families. And I just think like pour into yourself because you'll have more to pour into your family. And I wanted to leave with that thought. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.